Welcome to New York City Visions. I'm your host and fellow New Yorker, Herb Malsman. We're in New York City, of course, but we're actually in Brooklyn on Court Street. Let me give you kind of the lay of the land right now. We're on Court Street, and our address is 360 Adams Street. It is the address for the Supreme Court, State of New York. It is in Columbus Park. Our recording date today is Thursday, October 25th, 2012. It is I'm just looking at the TD Bank, America's most convenient bank across the way. It's 52 degrees right now, and depending on whether you're going to trust my phone, my watch, or the clock on the tower there, it's either 8:38 by my time or 8:39 by TD Bank time. What we're doing here today is we are inside this building at 360 Adams Street sometime today, perhaps. Well, first of all, I know there's a hearing today, and that hearing involves the New York City Parks and Recreation's decision to tear up about 55,000 square feet of boardwalk in Coney Island, also known and properly known as the Riegelmann Boardwalk. Riegelmann, and I believe his name was Edward H. Riegelmann, was the Brooklyn Borough President, 1918 through 1924, and on his watch, the boardwalk was built at Coney Island. So the New York City Parks Department has plans to tear up about 55,000 square feet of the boardwalk and replace it with concrete and a plastic kind of deal, so it would no longer be the boardwalk, it would be more of a plastic concrete kind of walk. So a number of groups in the city and in Brooklyn specifically, and of course throughout the city, got involved, Save the Boardwalk and Friends of the Boardwalk, to sue New York City and the Parks Department to stop them from tearing up the boardwalk, because eventually they want to do all 1 million square feet of boardwalk and replace the boards. For health reasons and everything else, this is a bad idea. A board for running on, a lot of joggers coming through on the boardwalk. A lot of kids, I grew up on the boardwalk. At 7 years old and 8 years old, my pop was taking me to the boardwalk, heading for the B&B carousel, and then to Nathan's and on the boardwalk. So the Parks Department is moving forward, trying to move forward to get this done. It's really aggravating a lot of Brooklynites, a lot of New Yorkers. I kind of got involved in it. I've been in the city doing some pieces since sometime in April. And somehow I came upon this thing online about the boardwalk being torn up, and I got pretty upset. And I called the Parks Department. We had it out. I was a media liaison for Parks and Recreation in 1985, and I was pretty upset. And what I did is I contacted the Brooklyn Borough President, Marty Markowitz, and a bunch of other politicians in Brooklyn. And they really didn't support what I wanted to do. What I wanted to do is I wanted to get the landmarks, New York City Landmark Preservation Commission, to designate the boardwalk a landmark. And I heard back from them. I had it with them for about 90 days. They were considering it, and I got a letter from them a couple of weeks ago that because the boardwalk had been altered significantly, for whatever that means, in 1939 through 1941, it could not be considered as landmark. I'm appealing that at this point because I guess every landmark, if you've been around for a couple of hundred years, buildings and homes, you're going to do something. You're going to build a porch, you're going to put on extra room, you're going to do something in that couple of hundred years. Well, if it's what's good for the goose is good for the gander, relatively speaking, that porch on the back of the house could be just as significant as whatever the alterations were on the boardwalk in 1939 through 41. Well, that's where we're standing right now. The hearing starts about 9:30. Hopefully, I have no idea what happens today. Hopefully, there'll be some sort of decision, but I kind of doubt because it doesn't happen that quickly. I'm waiting for Rob Burstein, who is one of the founding members of Save the Boardwalk. We're going to get a quick overview on the case, on the hearing. We're not going to be talking about what's happening in there. He's just going to give us a quick overview, and then I'm going to shut down. We're going to go to the courtroom. I'll be an observer there, and then when it's finished, I'll meet with Rob. Good guy, by the way. I'll meet with Rob, and we'll do an overview on what happened in the courtroom. We will not be discussing any sensitive information that could somehow taint the situation and give the other guys any kind of ammunition. So we're going to keep it very general, a couple of overviews, and that'll be it. So that's what's going on. Again, it's a beautiful day. It's going to be a nice day today. There's a farmer's market out here, green. There's a farmer's market, pumpkins and fruits and breads and vegetables and there's a pretty big, all things considered, a pretty big farmer's market here. So that's what's happening. That's where we are. Again, 360 Adams Street, Supreme Court, State of New York. We're going to be in part 38 on the 4th floor of this building, and we're going to, well, I'll be shut down. I won't be recording. And we'll be, and then again when we come out, we'll be back on the speaker. In the meantime, I'm going to go on pause, waiting for Rob Bernstein to show up, so we can do a piece with him. Let's shut down again. You're listening to New York City Visions. I'm your host and fellow New Yorker, Brooklynite today, Herb Malsman. Again, our date is October 25th, 2012. It is a Thursday afternoon in Brooklyn. And that's it. That's what's going on. So let's shut down right now, and I'll be back out of pause as soon as Rob shows up. Let's do this now. Here we go. Right now I'm still waiting on Rob Bernstein to show up, and I just happen to notice, as I mentioned, we're in Columbus Park right now. In Columbus Park, and this is the New York City Parks and Recreation facility right here. This is a park. This is what they do. They're in charge of parks, of course, and so we're here. The courthouse sits on a New York City Parks and Recreation maintained facility, and I just wonder if that's going to have any play into this in any way. You know, you got to take care of your brethren and all that, so I don't know how this is going to go. The courthouse is on, I'm sure the courthouse would not be maintained by Parks and Recreation, but right out here is a Parks and Recreation maintained area right here. So just a thought. Again, still waiting for Rob Bernstein. I do want to say while we're waiting around here, you know, Brooklyn now has Brooklyn now has a professional sports arena. In 1957, the Brooklyn Dodgers were in Brooklyn. Then they left, and for the first time since then, a professional major sports franchise is going to be operating in Brooklyn, called the Brooklyn Nets. They lost to the Knicks last night in preseason, so that's how they kind of got their preseason going here as far as the New York is concerned. But on the other hand, the New York Islanders, who play Nassau Coliseum out on the island, have chosen, because they couldn't get a new arena where they are out in Nassau County, they will be playing in Brooklyn. Starting in 2015, so they come to Brooklyn. They'll maintain their name as New York Islanders. Now, I'm a lifelong New York Rangers fan, and even a lifelong Brooklynite. And I'm a little tossed up here. What do I do? Do I go stay with the Rangers, or move over to the Brooklyn to the Brooklyn team, the New York Islanders? A quandary, but I'll figure it out if the NHL ever gets back to work. I'll figure it out as I go. Anyway, still waiting for Rob Bernstein, Bernstein, and if you want to go to the sites, it's Save the Boardwalk, I believe .org, SaveTheBoardwalk.org, and Friends of the Boardwalk. Look it up, and you'll find all the necessary phone numbers and websites there, and they can guide you if you want to get involved in this. This very important drive right now to keep the boardwalk pristine, pure. They've already worked on it quite a bit, but to keep the rest of it pure. Anyway, still waiting for Rob. Right now, it's about, I'm looking at the Celsius, 8:53 is what it is. So that's what's going on again, New York City Visions. We're in Brooklyn, Herb Malsman. Let's pause. Okay, we're back on for just a moment. I got a voicemail from, while I was speaking to you folks, I got a voicemail from Rob Bernstein, who says he's waiting for me in front of the courthouse, and I'm here. Are you here to cover the boardwalk?
Oh, yeah, no, I was going to go upstairs.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Rob Burstein, and with Save the Boardwalk, and he says he's standing in front of the courthouse, and I don't see this guy, and you're here to cover it. A fellow press credentialed person.
I'm looking. I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, but you're here to cover the boardwalk here.
I was going to go upstairs. But if you
Okay, so that's what's going on. I know I'm in the right place because you've been doing it for longer than I have. You've had those credentials longer than me, so you know the neighborhood. So, okay, so folks, that's it. Rob Burstein, again, just left me a message to tell me he's in front of the courthouse. I'm in front of the courthouse, and I don't see Rob anywhere. So I'm just going to, I've given you about as much of an overview as I guess Rob would be able to give you, and I've just kind of confirmed that I'm in the right spot right here. She was here to cover it as well. And so we connected because we're wearing our credentials. So that's how we wound up knowing each other or getting to speak to each other, brethren and all that. Anyway, okay, so that's the deal. I don't see him, and I don't see him. Anyway, there we go. Again, you're listening to New York City Visions. I'm your host and fellow New Yorker, Herb Malsman. We're in Brooklyn. Again, it's October 25th, 2012. We're at 360 Adams Street at the courthouse, and I'm going to shut down part one. This is part one of this piece. We'll be back afterwards with an overview of what happened inside the courtroom after we come out. So that's the story. I'm going to keep it on pause for just a couple of more seconds to see if I see him. I kind of fear I may be in the wrong spot. We're in the wrong spot, so I'm hoping we're going to hook up. Anyway, again, you are listening to New York City Visions. I'm going to shut down now. We're going to head upstairs, and then we'll see you later on outside for a wrap. Here we go. Let's shut down. Thanks as always for listening, and speak to you in a little while.